Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Meet Praneet. In today's video, we are going to discuss a very serious topic, which is layoffs. And we'll discuss what are the implications layoffs can have on one's visa status, life in USA, and road to permanent residency. So watch this video till the very end, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a lot of useful information and important information from this video. So stay tuned. So the very first question is, what are layoffs? And to begin with, you might have seen recently Meta laid off more than 10,000 people, Microsoft is laying off people, a lot of hiring freezes going on, a lot of biotechs are laying off people. So what exactly is layoff? Layoff in simple terms means that the employer basically terminates the relationship between you and the employer, and you're no longer part of that team, or let's say part of that company. And you have to now find a new employment for yourself. And this mostly happens at will. So you also are at will to decide and resign from a position. And even the employer has the will to end the relationship they have with you for any reason possible. It could be restructuring, it could be financial. There are a lot of different reasons they can use to lay off people. Now, we are seeing a lot of layoffs recently in tech, biotech, and other industries just because recession is very, very near. A lot of strategists think that there is a possibility of recession, and that's why the companies are trying to make sure that they have enough money to carry on for the next year and have people that they can support and pay their salaries. Or it could be just a restructuring effort that they're trying to do. Anyways, layoffs have a very severe implications on people, especially people who are on visa statuses, for example, H1B, F1 OPT, or L1. And today in this video, we're going to cover a lot of different implications that can happen or that are associated to layoffs. And the very first part, before even starting of what are the implications, let me remind you that even though, let's say you are laid off, and that's a very sad news, but I'm pretty sure with the skill set that one have gained over the time, or the experience they have gained over the time, they should be able to find a new opportunity in no time, and you'll be back on your feet in no time. I hope for that. If you're watching this video and let's say you were laid off recently, it happened with me, and I'll explain my story as well to you. But I'm pretty hopeful that you'll be back on your feet in no time. Now, social media can be a very important tool in coming back on your feet. I, for myself, use LinkedIn a lot. I use Twitter a lot. And I think these can be important social media platforms where you have to not only just write posts that you were laid off and you want support from the people or network to get the job, but it's more about networking, like how you can find people that are in the same area of work, or let's say expertise, connect with them, send them messages. Go for the premium subscription if need to, if you want to send emails to people who are not connected to you. I think all these messages and exchange of messages help you find a new job, or let's say an opportunity in a very, very short period of time. I was able to talk to a lot of different people, schedule Zoom calls, just to explain what my situation is and understand what kind of opportunity they have and how I can fit myself in that role. So I think using social media to your advantage is very important tool. Now, the other thing that we will cover, is implications. The first is H1B status. Now, let's say you're on your H1B and you recently got your H1 approved, or let's say you're on your fifth year, fourth year, or any year on H1 and you got laid off. Now, the first question that comes to your mind is, how would I maintain my H1B status? So the problem is that USCIS only gives you 60 days of grace period to find a new job. And out of that, if you look into the details, you'll have to find a new job and get your visa transferred, because that transfer of visa could also take some time. So I'm assuming that out of 60 days, you probably have only 40 or less than 40 days to find a new job and get it transferred and start at a new place. So the first thing is maintaining your H1B status. And I think in this case, you can also look into field of nonprofits, because just generally nonprofits are more stable and their visas generally fall into cap exempt category. So probably those are easier to get, even though you'll have to start the whole process. But if you want to be a little more stable, you can go for that route. Or you can find a job or the company which can basically transfer your H1B and get you started into a new position. If you're on OPT, then you get, I think, 90 days of unemployment period. So you have to again find a job within 90 days to continue or maintain your OPT status. So that's very important to know. The other thing that you can do is you can also go back to F1 OPT status or from H1B. So you can go back to school, and let's say you're trying to find a job and you are not able to find one in 60 days because a lot of hiring freeze is going on. That is another factor which is basically have created a lot of problem for the people who are searching jobs, because let's say if company one is making mass layoffs, the other companies are just freezing their hiring, so you're not able to even find jobs after you're being laid off. So it's a very difficult situation, and I think some people might get an idea of going back to school, doing a new course or a master's or another degree, and just to maintain their status and stay in the United States. Apart from that, it's a very important question that comes to our mind is what happens to your I-140 or your 485. Let's define a situation. Let's say you were in company X, and the company X filed your I-140, and you were on H1B, your I-140 is filed, let's say it's also approved, and you are sailing with the wind, and you're saying, well, whenever my chance will come, I'll file my 485. But let's say suddenly you got laid off. Now what happens to your I-140? You'll have to start the process again from the very beginning with a new employer. So that is a very, 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 very bad situation, because it takes a lot of time to get perm certification, perm labor certification and all that, and file your I-140. The good thing is you can still retain your priority date. So let's say your employer filed in 2013, 2014, you can still use that priority date for your new I-140, but you'll have to start the process from the very beginning. Now, the other question that comes to your mind is, let's say, what happens? Is there any I-140 that would not be, would have any problem? Like, let's say there's an I-140 that will not be affected by it. So there are certain green card categories like EB2 and IW, which is EB2 National Interest Waiver, or EB1A, in which you can file your green card with the profile that you have built over the time. So it doesn't require any offer employment. So those I-140s would stay as it is, and they would not be affected after you are laid off from a company. But anything which is associated to your offer of employment or by a company that's doing all the processes for your green card could be affected. And I think in this case, trying to talk to an immigration attorney, making sure you understand all the terms and conditions and what are the implications would be a right approach. The other question that comes to the mind is what happens to your I-485? Let's say your I-140 was approved and you even further into the next stage, and your priority date was current, you filed your I-485, and now you got laid off. Now, I think nothing will happen to your status until you are on your H1B, your H1B is maintained, or your other visa status are maintained. But I think once USCIS reviews, they might have questions about the offer of employment based on which you filed your AOS, adjustment of status, or I-485. If you filed it based on an I-140 which is coming from EB1A or EB2 and IW, that should not have any problem. But if it's coming something related to an employer, then that could be a problem. But again, an immigration attorney would be the right judge and would have more information about how to go about this case. One thing to know that there is a rule called AC21, which is it's a portability rule where, let's say if your I-485 has been pending for more than 180 days, in that case, you can change employers and still have your same 485 application going through. So that would be a good scenario. Let's say even you got laid off, but you're past 180 days, you can switch employers on H1B and then continue your green card journey or I-485 journey. After that, one more thing that to consider is, let's say you're getting laid off, please make sure that you're talking to an immigration attorney, even though you're not on your green card strategy. Just make sure that you talk to someone, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe on consultation basis. Just make sure that you understand what are the implications and what are the right steps that you have to take to make sure your visa status is maintained and you're not in jeopardy. Some people even suggest that you can go to B2 status from H1, but I'm not an immigration attorney and I'm not very comfortable with how that works. So probably you can talk to some immigration attorney for that. And finally, my story. So I also got laid off. I was in a very stable job in a non-profit for 7.5, 8 years. Never experienced anything like near to layoff or problems like financials and stuff, because non-profits generally work on state funding or government funding, and they they're generally good to go. But after I got my green card in AB1, and I was with the employer, with the non-profit employer for more than 8 years, I thought, let's change field, like let's change a job, let's try a different opportunity. And I went to company X, and I was there only for 10 days and I got laid off. So things like these, uncertain things can happen, certain things can happen, and you have to be prepared. The good thing was that I was on a green card, I had a green card in my hand, so it was not a very big problem for me to find a job or maintain my visa status. But I think the day I got laid off, that day I didn't do anything, just kind of collecting my thoughts on why it happened, what I can do next to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Well, it couldn't be future proof, but at least you can take steps of finding the jobs, or let's say looking into the company financials, more information about the company in general, to make sure that your profile, or let's say the company you're applying to, has good reputation and they are well balanced for the coming years. So I started my research about the job, started applying with the very next day. LinkedIn came in very handy, Twitter came in very handy. I want to thank each and everyone on LinkedIn and Twitter who just came out and left a message and said that why don't we talk and we discuss, and these are the opportunities where you can apply. So I think I started applying, and with God's grace, and I think with all the luck, probably I got a good position in hand in less than 30 days. So that was good. But again, one thing we do remember is we do not have to go down. You have to stay strong. You have to make sure that all the learnings that you have got over the time, you have to use all of it to land a job, and just keep trying. If there's one rejection, no problem, the second will come. If there's a second rejection, third will come. But you have to keep strong until you land on your feet. And I wish you all the very best. Anyone who is watching this video and was recently laid off, first of all, I know that you'll get back to your feet in no time. It's just a matter of time and matter of some hard work that you'll have to do while making sure you're putting in the applications and interviewing and giving your best. I think giving your best is the best thing you can do, and rest, it depends on the company, it depends on the job and other processes. So I wish you all the very best. I hope this video about layoffs was very helpful. It helped you understand how to maintain H1B statuses, what happens to your green card applications, and so on and so forth. And I'll see you in the next video very, very soon. So have a wonderful weekend, and please consider sharing and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much.